Mark Pearson.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're next.
I congratulate the Honourable Kate Fairman for a notice of motion last month acknowledging No Meat May, quote unquote, the campaign founded in 2013 to encourage people to avoid meat for a month. The motion rightly discussed the serious environmental impacts of global meat consumption and how reducing your consumption of meat is the biggest way to reduce your carbon footprint. But why stop at the consumption of meat when there is so much more that we can do? Humans are the only species that continues to breastfeed into adulthood by consuming the milk of another species. So what about our consumption of dairy milk? The impact of the dairy industry on the environment is astounding. For example, it takes approximately 4,000 glasses of water to create 1 glass of milk. And what about the animals? The Australian dairy herd consists of approximately 1.5 million cows. Just one of those cows produces around 57 litres of manure a day. That is 20 tonnes of manure per cow per year. And where once cows grazed in paddocks all day, Australian dairies are becoming more intensified. This means all that manure being stored in large methane-emitting lagoons and having to truck the manufactured feed, thereby exacerbating the environmental impact of the industry. Research shows that without meat and dairy consumption, the global use of land for agriculture purposes could be reduced by 75%. We could feed the world with plant-based protein, at the same time give land back to our struggling and fast disappearing wildlife. But along with the environmental impacts of the meat and dairy industries is another issue that we as a society should consider, an issue that for a long time now has been a stain on our collective soul, and that is how we treat the many other species with whom we share this planet, specifically the many species whom we have declared to be nothing more than food animals. The scope and scale of the misery we inflict on these sentient creatures is impossible to fathom. For example, in Australia alone, each year we breed, confine and slaughter over 5 million pigs, 5 million turkeys and 650 million chickens, all for no other reason than we like the taste of their flesh. Along with the 7 million cattle we slaughter for food each year, 750,000 young male calves are classified as waste products of the dairy industry and are also sent to slaughter. 9 million hens are imprisoned in cages for their short, unnatural life to produce eggs. Another 7 million hens are in barn or free-range systems and meet the same grisly end as battery hens once they are no longer considered profitable. And of course, for every hen born into the egg industry, a male day-old chick will be put through an industrial shredder whilst fully conscious, or piled into bins and gassed to death, once again simply because they are waste. The various levels of government and industry representatives continually tell unsuspecting consumers that Australia has the best animal welfare standards in the world, quote unquote. But the reality is far from this. Food animals are routinely exempted from protections in animal welfare legislation, such as the requirement for exercise, and are instead covered by codes of practice or standards and guidelines, otherwise known as codes of cruelty. This means the bar is set so low that it is near impossible for users to fail to meet the so-called standards. This is why industries get away with performing painful operations such as castration, teeth clipping, dehorning and tail docking, all without pain relief. So yes, by all means, let's encourage people to join in on the initiatives such as No Meat May, but there is so much more we can do. As Pam Ahern from Edgar's Mission, a farmed animal sanctuary, says, if we could live happy and healthy lives without harming others, why wouldn't we? And I would add, why wouldn't we for 12 months of the year, not just one?